Shalom, everyone, from the Tabernacle of David, Prophetic Dance Center in Jerusalem. Well, I often leave messages when I have a fire burning in my bones, but I do try to leave messages daily. I want to speak against organized religion today. You know, we get saved, we receive Yeshua, God's salvation, into our hearts, and then we become so concerned with what our fellows think about us in the body of Messiah. So many are ensnared by what does my neighbor think about me. It's almost like we've moved from one bondage to another. And the great Rabbi Saul, student of Gamliel, who was thrown off of his horse on the way to Damascus, God blinded him, and he said to him from heaven, why do you persecute me? And Saul said, who are you, Lord? And he said, I'm Jesus, the one you're persecuting. And so his whole life from then on, he saw the light, so to speak. He had a revelation of Yeshua, the Messiah, of Jesus. And he served and he gave his life for Yeshua. He didn't care about what his neighbor thought. And that's where God wants to take us, where we don't care what our neighbor thinks, because it is impossible to come into our destiny if we are concerned about what our neighbor thinks about us. And that's the work that I do with the Lord here at the Tabernacle of David Prophetic Dance Center, bringing forth the child, because the child gets the breakthrough. The properly behaved adult never gets the breakthrough, and so we send them out into the city to take a tour of Jerusalem while we get set free. And why do we get set free? So that we can come into everything God has for us in this life. We have one-of-a-kind fingerprints to prove we are one of a kind, and no one can bring into this world what I can, and I can't bring into this world what someone else can. We are not replaceable. And so I have such passion about this, because many in the body of Messiah are so concerned about what their fellow believer, neighbor in the body of Messiah thinks about them. So many are ensnared, and you know, God wants to move through us. God wants us to be in moving praise, which is simply praise that moves. That's all that dance worship is. And when we bring the song, the sound, the new song from heaven into our new dance from heaven, we are changed. And we get breakthroughs when we're moving in God's presence. And I've gotten revelations that I wasn't necessarily looking for. About, the organized body, And yes, we read about it in the New Testament, and it's important. And it even says that Yeshua came and he died for the body, for each one of us, but for the fellowship of all of us. But when we put the concerns, what our neighbors think about us, as more important than what does God think about us, we are absolutely ensnared. And Proverbs 29:25 says, the fear of man is a snare. And we have got to break out of that fear. And the only way we can do that is to allow our child to come forth. The child who loves God, who's completely dependent on God, who doesn't care about the thoughts of man. What do they think about me? When God gives us a word, a direction, a command, we are to go forward and do it. We're not to go, what does our neighbor think? Absolutely not. That's a snare. And Paul warns us in the book of Galatians to never be ensnared, to never come under the yoke of slavery of anyone or anything ever again, because whom the Son sets free is free indeed. And Rabbi Saul, the great apostle Paul, he was a Hebrew of Hebrews, and he lists all his Jewish credentials, And then he says, I count it all loss for the sake of Messiah Yeshua, because all that matters is faith expressing itself through love. Yes, the Jews and Gentiles have different roles and different positions and different things that we're supposed to do here on earth, but we are all loved and valued by God equally. So let's humble ourselves before the Lord, and he will lift us up. God bless you from his resting place forever, Yerushalayim.